Welcome into the Hot Read podcast for Wednesday, right? Is it Wednesday tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow is Wednesday, July 3rd. See, in the middle of summer, it's hard to lose track. We got the 4th on Thursday, and then everybody's taking off the 5th. I'm your host, Easton Freeze, director of published content here at BroadwaySportsMedia.com. We're also brought to you by the 440 Podcast Network. You can follow me on social media at Easton Freeze. I'm joined, as always, by producer JT, who you can follow on social media at JT_Ruhnke. And we're joined today by a multiple-time friend of the show, friend of the program, Austin Huff, all the way from Chicagoland. Still, is that where we're currently residing?
It's still in Chicago. My heart's in Nashville, but yeah, living in Chicago.
When was the last time you were down here?
In -3 days, or 2 days. Yeah,
I'm down to come hang out.
Yeah, I'm flying down tomorrow. Gonna do the 4th of July long extended weekend in Nashville. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it still humid? Is it still extremely humid in July? Is that
is the sky blue?
So you guys are still doing that thing.
In a circle. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we still are doing that thing. They haven't changed it. I don't know. I don't know who we have to get in government to get that changed, but we haven't gotten that person yet.
So. And I heard that the cats are back.
Cats are back, baby. Like they never left.
Gee, I mean, look, I don't know if they're still in season or if their season has yet to fold, but
I regret to inform you, I have no idea.
Okay, all right. Because I was gonna say, you guys want to hit up the game this weekend?
I'm checking right now to see if there's still tickets available. It's looking like they got a game. They got on the 5th on Friday. They got a game.
Wait, no joke, joke. Wow, I was joking. I thought their season ended 3 weeks ago.
They're playing the Orlando Predators, which how about that? I didn't know that was a thing until now.
Do you know the history with the Orlando Predators? Do you know the bad blood between the Nashville Cats and the Orlando Predators?
Is there beef?
Not only do they have the same name as the hockey team in Nashville, which hello plagiarism, but also the fact that in Arena Bowl, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe JT, maybe you can look this up while while I'm going through this diatribe. The Nashville Cats lost in Arena Bowl 20 to the Orlando Predators, I believe. In fact, the Nashville Cats lost in back-to-back Arena Bowls, and that was during the rough stretch of my life.
Are the Nashville Cats the '90s Bills of arena football?
Look, people are asking. And there was a time in my life where I witnessed the Titans lose a Super Bowl, the Nashville Cats lose back-to-back Arena Bowls, and I grew up an Indiana Pacers fan, and I watched the Pacers lose to Shaq and Kobe in the NBA Finals in 6 games.
And you're still with us despite all of that. That's crazy.
Bro, to say my sports fandom. In fact, allow me to apologize to any Titans fans watching this.
Okay,
I'll take the blame. It is completely my doing why the Titans haven't done better than an AFC title appearance in the last 25 years.
You are a pox on this house, Austin Huff.
I am the curse. I am the Native American burial ground that stadium lives on. That's what I am.
Oh no. Yeah. Well, you guys, on today's show, great start to the show. We are joined by a historian of the Arena Football League, Austin Huff. He is also, of course, co-host of the Tighten Up Pod on the A to Z Sports Network, amongst other things. He's also he's kind of a socialite, I think, is the vibe that I get from you. In the day job, you're talking to celebrities all the time. You're going to these events. You're a part of the hoi polloi, it seems, and you're just living.
Kind of. I'm as much as the hoi polloi as a morning radio show host that's only been in this market for 3 years can be, I guess. It's fun. I'm enjoying the ride. It is a big market. Yeah, it's the 3rd largest market, I believe, the 2nd largest market in terms of country music. Because I don't know if we count Los Angeles. They have like stations there, but they don't. I don't even know if they rate. So,
yeah, they listen to Sabrina Carpenter all summer. That's all they're doing.
That's all they. In fact, they have, like we have country stations. They have just Sabrina Carpenter stations.
Sabrina Carpenter radio. Yeah. No.
And when you hear espresso and please, like, how can you blame them? You know.
I guess. I mean, when you hear it for the first time, perhaps, but when you've heard it nothing but it for months, then you could question. Anyways, we are going to talk about the Titans today.
I was going to say real quick. It took me a second, but I did find the history of the Arena Bowl.
Check the Arena Bowl.
That's why he's the best producer in the biz, you guys.
So in their back-to-back losses, the first one came against the Orlando Predators. Predators were the number 2 seed. The Cats were the 6th seed, and they lost 41-38 on August 20th, 2000.
I watched that game on ESPN2, I believe.
Okay, I was about to say
ESPN2, I think.
On? All right.
Look, this is like that first iteration of arena football was like that sport was up there. Like that, it was a popular sport. Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
And then they came back in 2001 and lost against the Grand Rapids Rampage as the number 1 seed against the Nashville Cats, number 2 seed in 2001, 64-42. So that game wasn't as close.
No, right? I remember, and I remember that game too. I watched both of those games on television. You guys, like, if you want to say, like, I'm an OG Nashvilleian, okay? Like, I remember it like it was yesterday. I believe like Corey Fleming and Pat Sperduto was the head coach, I think.
Oh my goodness, what a poll.
Yeah, and Andy Kelly, Corey Fleming. Did I say to him? Corey Fleming was wide receiver. Yeah. I had a Corey Fleming Cats jersey. Not to brag again.
How about that?
Yeah, that and Yancey Thigpen were hanging in my closet right next to each other.
You want me to land this plane? How about this? We were talking before the show about how it is a particularly difficult time in the sports calendar to do sports talk of any kind. And
look, not for us, not when we're talking Nashville Cats.
Absolutely not. No. And the laziest amongst us, and there are plenty of lazy souls in sports media, they complain about it and they just kind of phone it in.
Yeah, definitely.
With topics like you mentioned before the show, how lazy is it to just do Mount Rushmore? So, Austin Huff, can we do a Mount Rushmore of painful fandom moments for Austin Huff? We've got the top 3. Titans.
Oh, man.
Cats lost. Cats lost number 2. What's the third most painful thing that's ever happened to you as a sports fan?
Ooh. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to, here's a hot take. I'm not putting the Titans Super Bowl on my Mount Rushmore. I was not particularly sad after that. I was encouraged. I was pleased. I legitimately thought to myself, they'll be back. Now, granted, they have not yet to be back, so I am getting.
Are you mad at yourself for not being sad?
No. In retrospect, like I'm sadder with each passing year. So, like, I was not sad in that moment. I would be lying to you if I said I was.
That's fair.
I was confident in the Titans, and granted, they did have some good seasons after that, but you don't realize how hard it is to make it to the Super Bowl, and so that's not on there. I'm gonna say. Oh man, there's got to be some Titans moments on there. The 27 Kenneth Crawl, 27-yard Mahomes touchdown run. I was at that game. That was
in person. You were there.
That was hard. That was hard pressed in Kansas City because it was cold.
In the whole stadium erupts. Everyone is happy but you. That's
right. Yeah, and I kind of hate the Chiefs to begin with. I went to school at the University of Missouri, so like half of my friends are Chiefs fans, and the only other half that weren't Chiefs fans were Rams fans. So now they're bandwagon Chiefs fans. So I just that one was tough. I know I've got some Mizzou ones. Oh, freaking Mizzou Mizzou in my lifetime has been a game away from the national title 3 times.
Right. So
all 3 of those could very easily be on the Rushmore.
Mizzou right.
The Dodgers. I'm a diehard Dodgers fan.
Are you?
The Dodgers losing in the World Series to the Astros, I think really, really stung, especially now knowing what we know about that World Series.
That is tough.
The fact that Clayton Kershaw in that series pitched 3 pretty good games.
Yeah.
Two absolute gems, both of which were at home. And then the one game where he kind of faltered a little bit was on the road in Houston.
I have no love lost for the Dodgers, but in that particular series, I do feel for Dodgers faithful. That's tough.
Yeah, everyone hates the Dodgers, and I completely understand that. I don't I completely
Well, one could
understand
argue why
people
hate
hate
them
them.
so much when they do so little winning. So there's
Are you a Braves fan? Are you a Braves fan?
I mean, I could perhaps be a Braves fan who has won meaningful games in recent history, and the Dodgers.
I love how Braves fans all of a sudden throw the Mickey Mouse World Series argument at Dodgers fans when it was the Braves who lost a 3-1 series lead in the NLCS. It wasn't a Mickey Mouse World Series when Braves fans were up 3-1, but then the Braves lose that.
I wasn't paying much attention at that point in my life. I was too young.
Yeah,
so,
that's
can
cool.
hear me.
That's cool.
Hey,
That's
ask JT
cool.
who he's a fan of. At least we're fans of good teams. He's a Mets fan, so you could be worse.
Oh, God love you, JT. Hey, happy belated Bobby Bonilla Day, my man.
Thank you. You know, yesterday was one of the hardest days of my entire life, I think. I mean, between Bobby Bonilla, the Bobby Bonilla Day, which was more so the cherry on top, and then my beautiful, glorious king, Steven Stamkos, leaving the Tampa Bay Lightning to come to the Nashville Predators.
Wait, JT's a Lightning fan too?
Dude,
I am.
Can you unpack this real quick? Austin,
yeah, sure. We can unpack
this. Fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning, the New
Mhm.
York Mets, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, if you can piece that together,
no, you know what? Look, I'm not. I'll say this, JT. I'm not gonna ride you because it's not like it's like Duke, Cowboys, Alabama football. You know, like it's
yes, that's fair.
It is all over the map, and they're all, for the most part, aside from maybe the Lightning, they're bad teams. Yeah, I am the same way. My fandom is all over the map. I mean, like I said, I'm a Pacers fan. Titans, Preds, obviously grew up with them, but then I'm Dodgers fan, and then like I grew up as a Penn State fan. So like my fandom and loyalties lie all over the freaking map. So
and people were giving me just a ton of stuff on Twitter last night. So I said, for immediate release, this is how these things work, right? Number one, I've been a diehard Mets fan since the day I was born.
God love you. God love you for that. It's a gift and a curse.
My grandparents and parents both tell me that when I came home, all they swaddled me in was New York Mets memorabilia. So I have been plagued and cursed.
That's a God thing. Do you think God is involved in such pain and suffering? Like, do we want to go into a theological discussion here?
That was more of me. That was more of me asking God to love him because clearly his parents didn't.
God give its most difficult battles to its weakest.
So that was I'm a day one. Like that was my parents were taking me to Shea Stadium when I was like I couldn't even make a coherent thought yet. They decided to buy me a ticket. Take me to Shea Stadium.
Again, all things that could have been reported to child services.
Exactly, right? Then we moved from New Jersey to Cincinnati, where I've been to probably over 100 Bengals games because we were season ticket holders. So like that is my team. I've chosen them after being transplanted there. And then I went to my first ever hockey game where with some extended family in Tampa who lived down there, and I immediately fell in love with the sport of hockey and that team.
Okay.
Because
I get that. Hockey, the first game you go to.
Yeah, it was in 2014 before the Lightning were even good. I mean, they got swept by the Montreal Canadiens in the first round before they go on to play the Cup in 2015 against the Blackhawks, and then they don't win anything until 21-22. So like,
were those the Martin St. Louis days?
It's 2014 was the end. It was like right at the end, right as Ryan Callahan and all those guys came over. So
okay, all right,
yeah.
I
have one question about that timeline though, JT, because at one point in our lives, when I knew you in college, I was like, wait, is he a Falcons fan or a Bengals fan? Because you had some love for the Falcons at one point in your life. I
had two Falcons jerseys of the two players who won me my first fantasy football championship ever. When I was 10.
It's a fantasy fandom. That's fair.
When I first won my fantasy football championship ever, I was 10, playing with my dad and his friends who were all 25 years, 30 years older than me.
What jerseys were they?
I won with Matt Ryan, Roddy White, and Michael Turner all on my team in 2010. And they went insane that year. And I was like, these Falcons are cooking, man. Like, I was like, all right. So
what were the Bengals up to those years? Not a whole lot of good. So, yeah, that's fair.
Fair. Those were the dark days of the Bengals. So when in the Tannehill 3-pick game, you were happy.
I was there with my family. So
you were cheering.
Bengals orange, I believe. I mean, you
I
were.
was in Bengals.
Wow,
orange.
dude.
Yep.
Jeez.
We were texting back.
Let me
I was
guess.
also there.
Let me
We were
guess.
texting
Let me
back
guess. You were an Orlando Predators fan in the first
Yeah.
Arena Bowl that the
Yeah,
Cats
I
played in,
was
weren't
actually.
you?
You got me.
Wow,
you got me,
dude.
You're a
for
big
sure.
Penguins fan in 2017. You loser.
Yeah, dude.
Come on, man. Well, now
Goodness.
I hate
your
the
baby
Bengals,
boy
bro.
Steven Stamkos is with the Nashville.
It makes my blood boil for you to
I
like.
am so little of a hockey fan outside of just the Predators going on. Like at the rest of the league, I pay so. I know Connor McDavid, and that's like the end of the list. And so, I see the Steven Stamkos news, and I, not jokingly, but I wish I was, because I would have done it on purpose to annoy you. I seriously go to JT and I was like, dude, Steven Stamkos with the Preds now, how do you feel? And I've never seen somebody with steam coming out of their ears, like in real life. And yet in that moment, not only was he your favorite player, but for me to mispronounce his name now that he's mine and no longer yours, I'm sure that hurt just a little bit.
I mean, it's like your favorite team. Like it's like the best way I can like relate it to like football or baseball. It's like for the Mets, if they were to do the same thing to David Wright, it's the same thing that basically the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. It's like with Tom Brady and the Bucs.
So it would be like letting Derrick Henry walk.
Can you imagine doing that?
Can
you imagine
the same thing?
That would,
and then all summer long you have to hear about how the running back room up
yeah.
in Baltimore is like top 2, top 3 in the league.
Yeah, no, it's really gonna. JT, let me just pre-warn you. When people start tweeting that, man, Stamkos looks good in those gold unis, that's gonna really rub you the way that Derrick Henry. People are praising the purple jerseys and Derrick.
Well, I don't know if you saw,
I'm
Austin.
gonna
Literally in today's thumbnail, there is a picture of Steven Stamkos in a Predators jersey that I made JT do the jersey swap. So I made him go.
him go through. Were you weeping? Were you playing some like Alanis Morissette in the background, like while putting that together?
He kept looking at me across from the coffee shop table that we were at, and is like, "What is taking you so long?" And I'm like, "This is the hardest thing for me to do."
On his face, I'm like, I've never seen it take this long to make a graphic, and he looks like he's in pain. What's going on? And he's
God love him.
People have started to ask me. People text me, when are you getting your Stamkos Predators jersey? And I said,
you're getting one. You're getting one.
I am. It's gonna take me a year though. Like I can't do it this year. Like,
is it?
That's for sure.
Because the last major name from the Lightning to come from the Lightning to Predators pipeline, you were all about getting his jersey. And then
I never did though. I never got a Mac.
Oh, you never. I just heard you talking about it. Okay.
Yeah, he's back with the Lightning, so hopefully, like, we'll do the same thing in 3 years.
We're talking about
like
Duchesne, of course. But
we'll have Stamkos retire as a Bolt in 3 or 4 years when we trade him for like.
I just realized yesterday that Pat Maroon was no longer with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know where I've been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
Who's Pat Maroon? I have no idea who you're talking about.
Pat Maroon. Yeah, the big rig. That dude has bounced around to more teams. So he was he was with the Blues. He was with the Blues when they won the Cup in 2019, and I was working in sports talk radio in St. Louis that year, and everyone loved him because he's from St. Louis or the St. Louis area. And
like Stamkos from Nashville. That's cool.
Yeah. So people in St. Louis,
everyone loves a coming home story.
Yeah, people in St. Louis are like people in Texas, where it's like they only love their own. Like Texas loves Texas the way St. Louis loves themselves from St. Louis. And so when you have a guy that plays on one of the teams that is from that area, David Freese, another example.
Not a relative of mine, but a namesake.
I think he spells it a little bit differently.
He does.
Yeah. Yours is spelled like Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Batman movie.
Like Hugh Freeze, who I've gotten that question many times in life. At times when
are you related?
No, we aren't. And when I got that question most was when things weren't great to be related at all anyway to Hugh Freeze.
That'd be tough. Yeah.
It was.
They were like, are you related to Hugh Freeze? And when you said no, did they say like,
it was a lot of like, are you sure? Like, do
you still have the phone number?
Exactly. Yeah. I
do.
No. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Shut up.
Can you hook me up with the number to call?
He's back in good graces. That's how it works. So.
But so Pat Maroon, he has apparently bounced around to like a different team every single year since that Cup run, because now he just signed with the Blackhawks here, and but prior to that, I think he was with the Bruins, and I was like, what?
Yeah, he went from the Lightning to the Minnesota Wild, and then was either traded or cut, and then he went to the Bruins, and now he's with.
Okay.
I mean,
I
Journey's-
completely missed the Wild era.
Does
of
he
Pat
stink?
Well,
what's
what's
going on?
I caught
He's
the
like
actual Wild era of Pat Maroon after the Cup win, but that was a different type of Wild.
Yes, exactly.
What?
If you go back and you look at the Pat Maroon at the Tampa Bay Lightning boat parades, like that dude knows.
Yeah,
for
he knows how to drink.
3 months afterwards, like it is a bender of a
If
time.
you think he's
Oh,
good
God.
at hockey, you should see him with a bottle in his hand.
I mean, Pat Maroon is why you think he's not your Connor McDavid. He's not scoring a bunch, but you
No.
need a guy out on the ice on your fourth line that is going to annoy the ever living heck out of
Yes.
your top line guys. And he's going to get in
Right.
those fights. He's going to be that enforcer. He's going to be the guy that just talks all the smack to the other team getting in their head. And that's why Pat Maroon is like why he continues to get contracts and why he's valuable to teams. Like Pat Maroon, like I wouldn't be
so bad for our
surprised. Like
listeners
he
right
is
now.
such a bro.
We are
I'm
so
imagining,
deep in the weeds right now.
I'm imagining everyone that listens to this show regularly, hundreds of them pouring in and being like, what exactly are they talking about? We're talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning, not even current Tampa Bay Lightning players, former Tampa Bay Lightning players.
Former Tampa Bay Lightning
on this
players.
Tennessee Titans podcast. We've also covered Nashville Cats history and amongst other things.
Should we talk
to put Pat Maroon in like a Hollywood actor like to compare him to a Hollywood actor, he's like a character actor. He is a William Fichtner of hockey players.
Okay.
You know, it's like he knows his role and he knows how to play it well.
Right.
And if you need that role on your team, you're going to call Pat Maroon first.
So he was like Fat Jonah Hill, where it's just like we're casting you for the same role. Some of those years where it's just the same thing over and over. Yeah.
Fat Jonah Hill. Yeah, he's Jonah Hill without the Oscar, is what he is.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless it's like a Best Picture Oscar because he did win a cup.
That's
actually he did win it. He won a couple of cups because he won one. He won a couple with. Yeah,
he won 3 in a row.
Yeah, he won 3 in a row. He won 2 in Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
he's living large. Jacob in the
Living
comments saying, I
big.
can tell the itinerary today was shoot the breeze with Austin Huff. I texted Austin yesterday and I said, Austin, do you want to come on the show to just be silly and fun? And he said, we'll do it.
Let's do it. You know,
July 3rd. What are we gonna do?
No, Easton did hit me up yesterday. He goes, hey man, do you have any stories that entail Pat Maroon? And I was like, yeah, buddy?
Maroon coverage. Could you
I said, man, middle of the summer, you know, I got you for sure.
Do we want to talk about the Tennessee Titans for a minute? Maybe we should do that just to appease the masses.
Yeah,
we can. I mean, listen, it's a good time to be a fan of Tennessee sports. You know, the Grizzlies, you know, couldn't be much worse than it was. You got Ja coming back. If you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan, you may not be all that pleased with their draft decisions. Not a lot of pandering going on down there, but nonetheless,
they're spitting in the face of Tennessee Vols
spitting
fans.
in faces across the entire state of Tennessee. Actually hates the Tennessee Volunteers. Apparently, all the C-suite guys, at least, they can't stand them.
It's when are teams going to learn to pander to Vols fans? That's what I want to know.
Well, the Predators, of course, had, I don't know how to contextualize it, one of the best days of free agency, like in terms of winning off seasons. It's hard to win an offseason that hard, it seems. JT, I'm sure you can speak more to the insanity of the Predators' top 3. They signed 3 of the top 5 free agents.
Yeah.
Like at the same time in the first 10 seconds of free agency. Was this yesterday? 2 days ago? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
Give people a little primer as to what they should expect. Besides Steven Stamkos, who else is joining the Predators' first 2 lines?
Well, I mean, it really was impressive. Barry Trotz decided to pull out his finest cookbook, his finest cookware, and he said, "Hold on, we're making a 5-course meal," because he turned a Nashville Predators team who, coming into the offseason, looked like they were still going to have the same issues that they've had in power play inefficiency and just the lack of scoring and lack of synergy. And they said, let's go get 2 players who are just perennial power play standouts, and then a defenseman in Brady Skjei that really is like a lockdown guy to put next to Roman Josi. And so you take 2 former Tampa Bay Lightning players and Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault. Washed up Lightning. I mean, I guess you could call them washed up, but you put those guys on the top 6 there, and their power play is instantly fixed and makes them a contender. Now, the biggest thing is that you sign UC Saros back, and once again, it's like, if you can get back to the playoffs, you have the tools that are there to make a deep run. You have the veteran presence now of two guys who have won the cup in the last 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years, in Jonathan Marchessault and Steven Stamkos. Now you got to kind of rely on your goaltender, because you've picked UC Saros to anchor this team for the next 10 or 8 years or so, instead of Yaroslav Askarov. And so that's an interesting
Is Askarov
scenario
dead?
as well.
Is that what this means? Is he? Is it?
Yeah,
is
he's dead.
He is. They actually took him out back, and
Yes.
he's gone.
Just look at the flowers.
Yeah.
However,
However, I would say that in terms of off seasons, the fact that the Nashville sports teams have probably 2 of the 3 most exciting off seasons out of all the 4 major sports.
What was our buddy Braden Gall here at the 440 Network pointing out yesterday that he did the math? The Titans and Predators have spent $1 billion this offseason. They have
It was impressive. It was very impressive.
They've blown all of the money.
I love that Chef Barry Trotz literally looked across the street and saw Rand Carthon on his way to his first Michelin star, and he was like, "Wait, hang on, hold my wine that I used to cook with," and went out and literally, like, TSN opened their broadcast yesterday. TSN, the hockey, Canada's ESPN, opened their broadcast by saying all eyes are on the Nashville Predators. What
a time to be alive. What a time to be alive.
It's wild. Jack and I were talking about this yesterday on Titan Up Podcast, where it's like, you won't get that. If the Titans went out and did the same deals that the Preds made yesterday, you wouldn't get that. Like, that would maybe be covered in the B or C block of NFL. No,
it would be, why didn't the Dallas Cowboys have the offseason the Tennessee Titans had? That would be the closest you'd get to it. Yeah.
Exactly. And the sole reason for that is recent success. And by recent, I mean within the last 10 years. Obviously the Preds have been to a cup final. The Preds are in the eyes of many people, remembered like, oh yeah, Nashville threw, like, not only went to the Stanley Cup final, but they threw a party when they were there, and people remember that, and that is fresh on people's minds whenever the Preds do anything like they did yesterday. The Titans need to earn that. The Titans, they could do all good in the world and they'll still get overlooked because they haven't won. And they, even like, now people will be like, well, what about 2019? That was it. I mean, and that was an AFC title run. Like, if you go to a Super Bowl, and look, JT can speak to this. I use the Cincinnati Bengals as an example. The Bengals are on the forefront of everyone's mind, even though they haven't done anything in like the last couple of years. They went to Super Bowl 3 years ago. And that alone, when you get those 2 weeks isolated on top of the mountain, even if you don't win the Super Bowl, you still get that notoriety and that crowning achievement. And people will talk about you when you start to make moves. And that's what the Preds did. And that's why they're getting, and then they're going out and making moves like they did yesterday and getting the attention. The Titans just need to freaking win, make a deep run into the playoffs, or consecutive deep runs into the playoffs. And then you start to turn heads. You start to get talked about. You start to get mentioned in sentences with the best of the best. So
can I modify this theory a little bit? Because here's what I think I think you're really close. What I think it is when you do find success, because as you said, the descent there is, well, the Titans 2019. They were half away from dethroning Patrick Mahomes, getting to the Super Bowl.
I know, I was there. That's on my Mount Rushmore.
When you do make your run, you have to, and part of this is within your own control, and part of it's just not. Part of it's just the way things are. You have to be the interesting one. And what I mean by that is when the Predators in 2017 made their run, they were, for the most part throughout those playoffs, the interesting ones. They were the ones that
they were the 8th seed. They were the 8th seed.
Right, swept the Blackhawks in that. What a way to start the playoff. They go through and they do to Anaheim what they did in the conference championship, and then they go and play against a team, the Penguins, that are like, a perennial team in the NHL. Like, everybody is a blue blood. That's a team that everybody respects. But aside from your top line player, like, the Predators were as interesting, if not more interesting, from a sports media standpoint during that cup, I think, than the Penguins were. For the Titans, that run in 2019, the first game was not about the Titans winning, but about, that's the end of the Tom Brady era. Holy crap, it's over. That's the end. And then the second game was MVP, new kid on the block, Lamar Jackson, and the Baltimore Ravens won 14 games this year, and they come out at home and they lay a total egg. The Titans beat them. Don't get me wrong. It's not like the Ravens lost. The Titans won, but they did it in relatively boring fashion. There was that one really big throw to Khalif Raymond, and it's like, wow, they really took the top off. This Titans team might win this game. But besides that moment, it was like, what are we've watched this Baltimore team murder everybody all year long. What's happening? And then that third game, it was the ascendancy of Patrick Mahomes. They were never the story throughout that run. And so it kind of it falls by the wayside in the history.
Well, and I think if the Titans win that second half of football and go to the Super Bowl that year, I think the Titans are looked at. The trajectory of the Titans are just looked at differently. They're looked at different. That postseason run is looked at differently because it helped that Tom Brady came back, so it wasn't the end of Tom Brady. But you start to see.
Know.
Oh yeah,
we didn't know. It's like
we didn't know. We didn't know. But you're right. Like in the moment that as those things were happening, it was like Brady lost. Lamar Jackson, the 1 seed, Ravens lost, and the Titans were just they weren't mentioned because the Titans have been so bad for so long. Just at 2 years prior, they won their first postseason game.
In sports, in the sphere of sports media, boring is worse than bad. And so, yes, you could say they've been bad for so long. Yes, but they've been boring for so long. And I would argue that might be more important because as Kenneth says in the comments, to piggyback on Austin's winning comment as well, it's how they win. It's this team being successful with the passing offense. You think about the Predators and the way you were trying to compare the Titans and the Preds and how the Preds are seen in the NHL more as like a team that's relatively recently should be looked upon in a respectful way. Like, are the Predators kind of this may be an imperfect metaphor, the Rams in the NFL, where it's like the Rams, they won one a couple years ago and they got their guy and they did that thing. It's been it's been whatever since then, but they've got an exciting coach and an exciting quarterback and an exciting way that they play ball. And just because they haven't had a ton of the last 10 years, they've had like a moment or two of, they've been to 2 Super Bowls, granted. Beyond that, it's been a lot of up and down. Doesn't matter. They're still looked upon every year. This time of year, you're talking about how Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, you got to respect them this year. That's a real football team now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny, Jack. I don't even think you need to go to the Rams for the comparison. Jack and I legitimately yesterday, we dropped our podcast today a day early because we had to get it out ahead of the Hot Read podcast because we know how we got
dynamics.
It's a competitive field, the world of podcasting. If there's 7 billion people in the world, there's 10 billion podcasts out there. So we have to stay in front of the game and we have to stay creative. So Jack and I literally spent the entire yesterday talking about how the Preds and Titans are actually very similar. The Preds are just a step ahead in the sense that, think about this, like for years, the Titans have been known by their defensive identity. They're blue collar, the two-tone blue collar. Yeah, they're tough. Yeah, they're going to beat you up. Yeah, they're going to kick your ass. They're going to win games that they don't deserve to win. Mm-hmm. The Preds were the same way. They're known for their defensemen. The Preds have only had 3 40-goal seasons, 2 of which were by the same player in Flip Forsberg. So the Preds have never been known to be this offensive juggernaut. And what do they do yesterday? They go out and they get 2 more 40-goal scorers, and they make themselves an offensive powerhouse almost. They're almost entering the 21st century of offenses in hockey, whereas you're starting... Say what?
What's another team that I know that's kind of like that this offseason?
Let me think.
Offensively.
It's on the tip of my tongue. The Tennessee Titans.
The Tennessee Titans. How about that?
You've got Brian Callahan coming out and with an offensive, like a guy who knows how to run an offense, a guy who knows how to create space for his wide receivers. And you just so happen to go out and get some really good wide receivers to bolster that position group. Is this not the Nashville Predators and Tennessee Titans kind of both in the same field? It's weird that we're living in this parallel.
Yeah, that's fair. And while we're talking about all these great players, the Predators have. Frankly, Austin, it's the Predators stealing from the Lightning, and it's the Titans stealing from the Bengals. This is the worst day ever for JT.
Look,
it's really JT
here.
If I can interject, I would say that
please defend yourself.
I wasn't going to defend myself. I'm just going to sit here in my sadness. But to add on to the conversation, which is my job on this show, to talk about the Titans and I guess the Preds by proxy today. The Predators have, you're totally right that they've been this frisky team, but they've also just kind of punched the ceiling of like trying to get into that upper echelon of teams in the NHL by being that last wild card in like every single year. Like
always knocking on the door.
You're frisky, but you don't have enough to get you there. And I think that era of Preds like hockey that they are now not in anymore, I think that's where the Titans are now. I think you're going to start to see the Titans be that frisky team that's knocking on the door. And what the plan is and has been all along, and what we've kind of alluded to for this team, is that a lot of it rides on Will Levis. But not only that, but there still are so many holes on this team that still need to be fixed before this is a true powerhouse in the AFC South. And that's why I think, as much as they spent this year and how much better they look and more dynamic they look, 2025 is the year where you're really starting to see like them probably make more of those sexy moves that really show you, oh, these guys are here to compete and they're here to stay. And so I think in the city of Nashville, we just saw the Predators get there, and I think the Titans are maybe just one step behind, but are just knocking on the door of being on that same level as the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, that's why I think like the Preds are like 1 year ahead. Obviously, like both what GMs are entering year 2 in their respective sports.
So
but
hang on, Austin, let me pause you. I'm going to set you up. I'm going to set you up to finish what you're about to say. To
go right ahead.
To go full summertime sports.
Let's Dwayne Wade, LeBron James this thing.
Right. Let me throw you the soup real quick. Full summertime sports talk radio host. Fellas, the Titans and the Predators, who is more likely to find success quickly? Austin, to you.
Oh, this is sports talk radio at its finest. Call in 737-1045 right now. No,
all the lines are full. Get in here.
I cannot believe I remembered that phone number. My gosh,
it's just so catchy. It's just so catchy.
I mean, I think the Preds are. This is the thing. It's harder to make it to the championship in hockey, but I think it's easier to make it to the playoffs.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's easier to get into the dance. It's harder to keep dancing.
Especially on the Western Conference of the NHL. There's so many more bottom feeders right now.
I see. Yeah, the AFC's tough.
San Jose,
if you just go by conference, I think the AFC comparative to the Western Conference, like the Eastern Conference is a beast. The AFC is a beast. Like I would hate to be in either one of those conferences, in either of the sports. So I think it's I think the Preds can make it to the playoffs. Now the problem with the Preds is I think it's been like eight straight years where they haven't made it out of the first round. So they've got that kind of.
So UC Saros he's a career like 30. He's won 30% of his playoff games.
Not great.
Not
great. Askarov 5, stand up on that one.
Hey, but can we take a moment of silence for Askarov
once again? Now to play devil's advocate. Play devil's advocate here. I want to say devil's advocate. Could you see the Titans have more success this year because of the scheme they're playing and because they have some young ascending players, whereas the Predators paid some players who, according to could be on the decline.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's one of those things where it's like the problem with turning so many heads with a move like or a day that they had yesterday, then you get that target drawn on your back, even without winning.
Your ass, Austin. The fact checkers are all over you today, but it's 6. You're close enough.
6. They got to round 2 in 2018. Okay, 6 years. All right.
I
knew there was an 8 in there somewhere, and so 2018 was the last.
There you
year.
go. Good save. That's a good face save right there.
So I completely forgot where we were going.
You lost your train of thought. Let me ask you this. Does your answer change if the question is no longer it's ambiguous to say who's likely to find more success? Like, what is success? Okay, let's define it. Who is more likely to win a championship before we have a new president? So the next 4 years, the next presidential term, who's more likely to get to the mountaintop?
I think the Preds. I think it's the Predators, which is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about what yesterday brought. I think the Predators are built right now. Now, granted, my answer could change this time next year when it is the dog days of next summer, 2025, and we are all looking for content to get by. And we have this, just lazy river of an episode of a Hot Read podcast where we're just taking it where the current takes
a wise
us.
Man once said this time of year, you're scraping barnacles off the bottom of the boat.
Then when we are scraping the barnacles off of the boat of content in this dead of summer.
What a metaphor.
That answer very well could change based off of what Rand Carthon does next offseason. However, where we stand right now, I think the Predators I think they're a year ahead of where the Titans want to be. And I think that's just because you've had I guess you've had 2 full off seasons of Rand Carthon, but I give him a pass for that first off season because it's like, you're like learning the way. And that he was still with Vrabel. So, I'll give him a pass for that year.
When Barry Trotz is has been in hockey as a head coach and a front office for years and years. Almost
isn't that every head coach's dream, by the way? When you've been a head coach and you've dealt with your front office not giving you what you want, to finally get the controls. And I think Barry Trotz yesterday was all of us. He went full Madden. And he said, I'm going to go and get all of the shiny toys and no one can stop me. I'm the man.
He turned salary cap mode off and he just went out and just started spending. And that's the thing. It's like,
fan, I think.
I'll be honest. I'll hand raised. I've been wrong on a lot of takes and I will always be the first to admit them. Will Levis, I thought, was the dumbest draft pick in the history of the Titans franchise.
Wrong.
I was wrong and I will eat those words. And I'm happy to eat those words every single day.
Yeah,
they taste so good. You sprinkle a little salt on there. I was also wrong when I was not keen on Barry Trotz becoming this team's general manager. I did not. I was like, I don't know. I don't like this.
I can empathize with that. I can empathize
going from David Poyle who was just kind of like going through the motions in his last few years, to Barry Trotz, a guy who's never been a GM before. I was like, geez. And then they retained John Hines, I don't know if those two are locked, but like when the year they did retain John Hines for his final season, I was like, that just felt like a boring, uninspired move by the Predators. So I was just like, I was not in a good headspace. I will say this: Barry Trotz is the man. I freaking love Barry Trotz. Yeah. Is he look? Maybe it's too early, but I'm willing to put him up in the greatest general managers of all time conversation.
Oh, he's playing his flag. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy.
Right here, boys. Get behind me. Let's march up this mountaintop together.
I don't know if we can. You might be alone on that because JT's face was, That's...
I mean, I'm gonna put, I mean, I think Stevie Y is still
just okay. All right, and that's fair. That's fair.
It's not Rushmore, JT. We're on the Mount Rushmores right now. It's not
just
best.
Hear me out.
Top 4.
If the Predators win a cup, all right, and mark this, JT, because you're going to clip this someday. It's going to make for great content. You guys are going to go viral, okay? If the Preds win a cup, I was the first to the take that Barry Trotz is the greatest general manager of all time. Just remember that. And I guess I should say if they win a cup with Barry Trotz still as the general manager, because in like 50 years now, JT like gets his walker and he's like, I'm gonna find that clip, and it's like Barry Trotz died 17 years ago.
Barry Trotz headstone, yeah.
People are gonna be like, who the hell? What is this? What are we watching, Grandpa? And why are we watching it on this DVD player?
Is this one of your VHSs, Grandpa? What is this? I disagree with you, both of you. I don't know if JT still holds the opinion. I do.
Wow.
I've been sitting here on it. I've been sitting on it for a while. I want you to hear me out. That's all I ask. You don't have to agree with me. You just have to hear me out on this, okay? The reason why I think the Titans in the next presidential cycle are more likely, not likely, but more likely to win their respective championship is because
hold on. Next presidential cycle. We all know that U.S. is not living through the next presidential cycle, so that's a pretty easy take to take.
This is purely an on paper. This is all metaphorical because we know, right, that it's not going to happen.
America's going to cease to exist in like 3 years, so like you're safe with this take.
Exactly. I'm ranking polar ice caps when it's not going to matter at all. Going to be gone eventually. the reason why is largely in part of the nature of the two leagues. And this, I'm being serious about this. Like, I think that in the NFL, getting good in a hurry, like we have a template for that. There's a rubric, right? And it involves a young, cheap quarterback, and it involves the right pieces around them and coaching that can elevate and enable those players to be good in a hurry. Innovative, modern coaching, and a young quarterback who is ascendant. Like those are the recipe. Those are the ingredients to the recipe. And the Titans, for whether or not you believe that Brian Callahan is that guy, whether or not you believe Will Levis is that guy, whether or not you believe that the 30-year-olds they put around Will Levis are really the supplementary players that we're talking about in this general template, they have guys that could fit that mold. Whereas with the Predators in the NHL, I feel like, and you're not as the biggest NHL enjoyer or viewer, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, JT, but it feels to me that the NHL is one of those leagues where things are just kind of finicky sometimes, and teams may have everything they need on paper, and you can't quite explain why these pieces aren't working together, but gosh darn it, they're not working. Like, why exactly did the big three in Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie and Harden, just why were they a disaster forever? They should have been better than they were. Like, why weren't the Preds better with these awesome free agents? I don't quite know. We can't put our finger on it. And things are just finicky in the NHL. Yeah. Whereas in the NFL, I feel like we have a rubric for these things.
This is going to be the biggest cop-out answer to your question, basically.
Okay.
But
I'm ready to be annoyed.
In hockey, more than any other sport, I firmly believe in this, and I hate this. I hate that I'm even saying this.
Okay.
But I firmly believe in the it factor, where a team just has it. And I think that comes
perhaps for the young ones
from experience, from being through the grind, because to win a cup, you have to win 16 of the most grueling hockey games that you will ever play. Right. And in the Preds case, when you go into like a game that goes into 3 overtimes, sometimes 17 games, it's like
Preds have to win 37 games to get to
it. Is
right. Exactly.
Right.
When the Lightning won their second cup, they went to that 5 overtime game. So, there's
exactly.
There's
so that's like a whole extra
there. Yeah.
Game and a half. Right. So I think that you need that experience. And that's one of the things that made me so excited about the signings that the Preds made yesterday was you've got Stamkos, who's got a couple of cups to his name. You've got Marchessault, who just won one last year, and you've got Ryan O'Reilly in that locker room already, who's got a cup in St. Louis. Like, I just feel like you're building a team of guys that like
Lightning legend
know
also has a cup.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Luke Chen.
So like you're just building a roster of guys that of like know what it takes to, once the calendar flips to April, how to turn it on and how to keep it turned on the whole way. Because the Preds have had great teams in the past, but they just somehow run out of gas or whatever. Like, you have to just flip into that mentality, and the more guys that you have in your locker room that have hoisted a cup before, and Barry Trotz said it yesterday in his press conference, where he's like, when you taste winning, it only makes you hungrier to win again. And Barry Trotz has won a cup before, so he wants to win it. He said, "Hey, I have visions of hosting a parade down Lower Broadway," which hopefully that's not just nightmares of pedal taverns.
Right,
but
I'd say the players.
I want policy.
I rolled my eyes
the
there.
More guys.
I was scared, not because I didn't want it. I just don't know what would happen.
It would be look if you saw what we did for games 3 and 4 in this 2017 Cup final. That was just a final. That was just a couple of games. Imagine if they won a cup, what Nashville would look like. I would fly down for it.
It would be one and done. The city would fall.
Hey, based on the number of country music bars that are taking over that city, I'd maybe be okay with it. Let's start over from scratch.
From the sky off of rooftops.
Oh my gosh, people would be Morgan Wallening everywhere. It'd be nuts.
I don't think the Stanley Cup would come like it. It would enter Lower Broadway from one end, and by the time it gets out the other end, Lord Stanley would cease to exist. There'd be a little bit left.
No. That cup is ending up in the Cumberland River somehow. I don't know how.
I don't know why we're sitting here talking about. We're sitting here talking about how Nashville will cease to exist. No, screw that. Nashville's knows how to party. The Stanley Cup wouldn't be able to hang.
Hang.
Keepers of the cup would be dead, and the cup itself, would be lost. It would be missing. So I feel
the
like
cup impaled by chairs, and the cup at the bottom of the Cumberland River was how.
Yeah. So I think Lord Stanley, dude, get on our level, bro.
I think we're done here. I think we should end on that. This has been a far more entertaining episode than I anticipated it being. Austin, we of course appreciate you joining us at a time of year when there isn't much to talk about, and yet you bring the fun always. What do people need to do? Obviously, they need to go listen to the now 1 day old episode of the Tighten Up Pod, which was released to get in front of today's podcast.
That's right.
Besides
That's right.
that,
we had to beat the hot read, you know?
Right.
Some people call our podcast the hotter read. Look, I'm not saying just people.
Who are these people? I will throw them in the river with Lord Stanley.
I do have to commend you guys, and maybe this is bad that I'm bringing it up, but we went an entire episode without you guys claiming your alma mater.
God bless High School. God bless and go Bruins, baby.
Dude, so JT was like, are we going to talk about the Bruins today? And I said, yes, of course. The last time I was on the Tighten Up Pod with you
my
goodness. Look at that. If our viewers are just listening, you're missing the wonderful view of Austin Huff
that was my senior portrait. I have it framed up here. My mom was like, I don't want this in my house anymore. My mom said,
how dare she?
My mom said, I don't want your senior portrait in my home anymore, so you have to take it. So it is just up here in my office.
To hang than that piece of art. That's outrageous.
Thank you, Easton. You get it. God bless.
Before you got here, I said, he's like, are we gonna talk about the Brentwood Bruins? I said, are we gonna talk about that? The last time I was on the Tighten Up Pod, I forget what happened. Like, it was in the wake of the Callahan hiring or some big news, and I think we spent like the
first 20 minutes
on the Brentwood Bruins. Still that always leads, and I cannot believe that we have gone this far. Of course, Brentwood High School is where both Austin and I went, and Austin Stanley. I mean, all of the best people that you know, frankly, went to Brentwood High School.
There's a bunch of like BGA folks that work with A to Z that like will try to tell you that BGA is good, but it's like,
is hiring practices down over there? Like, are they desperate? They're that desperate for folks over there?
BGA isn't even the best academy in the Middle Tennessee area.
That's
let alone
true. Frankly,
the best school. Yeah, no, you know how like they say in the SEC, it just means more. When you go to Brentwood High School, it just means more. It's just, when you take English classes from Coach King, and you watch those Miss Medlin, shout out her.
What are these polls? I get this. JT has no idea what we're talking about.
Only those folks that grew up in the halls of Brentwood High School, right there on Murray Lane, truly understand what it means. And when we say God bless and go Bruins, it just hits
prize winner, Dr. Baker, teaching you English you don't care anything about. Yeah,
that's right. Mr. Adams taught AP world history or something. I don't know. Yeah, I never took his class. I didn't take any AP class.
Either, but
Dr. Gilliland. Shout out Dr. G.
Yep. Yeah. Dr. G is, I believe, still there and kicking. Dr. G is, and what a character he is, frankly.
He'll
maybe not
Neil
the greatest teacher
Skolitsky
of all time, but one of the greatest people of all time, Dr. G.
Yeah. Neil Skolitsky, Mrs. Roberts.
I mean, Brentwood High School is so fantastic. I married someone from Brentwood High School. I said only the best for me.
Not only did you marry someone, you impregnated someone from Brentwood High School.
And you know what? There's a future to be in the world because gosh darn it, she's gonna be a Brentwood Bruin here in the next.
She wants to go to Ravenwood or something.
Isn't that we should high school? Hang on,
Ravenwood.
No, I will fight.
We should clarify. We should clarify. He impregnated a former Brentwood Bruin. Okay, not a.
Oh, yeah, thank you for that.
Verbiage.
Yep.
Brentwood Bruin alum is my wife,
yes.
Not a current Brentwood Bruin. That
Good save.
We're not trying to. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's one way to end the show. It's
been
a good time, fellas. We're going to be back. JT and I will be back next. Of course, we're not going to do a show on Thursday because it's the 4th of July. Go enjoy yourselves. Go blow some things up. Not yourselves, but like in the sky. Have a good time. Have a cold drink. I don't know if when you're here, Austin, are you going to go watch the fireworks downtown? What's your plan?
I don't know. I won't do the downtown ones. I want to. I hate fireworks, but I love Nashville's fireworks show.
Okay. So you like watch it on TV? that joke was
a
little uncouth, but anyways.
I love going to the downtown Nashville fireworks because I think they do the best fire. Like it impresses me. So bros, shout out So Bros.
Goodness. Okay.
So Bros gave me my first and probably last award ever for the
same here. Same here. Look at us, a couple of award-winning podcasts.
Look, thank you, So Bros.
Works.
Love So Bros Network.
We love So Bros. Okay, we'll be back next week with 2 episodes. We've got our buddy Danny Kelly from The Ringer joining us at some point in the next 2 weeks. We're going to do a fantasy football preview, and then the next 3 episodes, somewhere in the next 2 weeks, we're doing previews of the other 3 teams in the Titans division: the Colts, the Jaguars, the Texans. We'll have some experts come in on that, and then, fellas, after this week, and then 2 weeks after that, it's training camp. We're there. We're here. So
you want to bring me back on to talk more Pat Maroon?
Yeah, Pat Maroon, day 1 of training camp.
Yes, day 1 of training camp.
We're doing Pat Maroon.
Easton will just have had his kids, so he will not have been there. And I'm saying,
Austin, all right, JT, it's a date.
And it's gonna be 30 minutes after the first Brian Callahan press conference, and we're gonna go.
Yes, and it's just gonna be JT and I be like
into the career of Pat Maroon
of 2024 or 2024-25 with the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's dive into it.
I think it should be a documentarian retrospective on the career of Pat Maroon. You should do 4 hours unfiltered.
It would be such a good deep dive.
Look, don't tempt me with a good time. Basically, is what I'm getting at. It's like Pat Maroon. You know, he went to like Fulton High School in Missouri. It's like
he came from humble beginnings. Pat Maroon.
His parents, Patty and Phil Maroon. His father formerly played Division I soccer at St. Louis University. That's where he gets his athleticism from, I guess.
Let's get out of here. For our guest Austin Huff, who has been a delight, and producer JT, I'm your host Easton Free. This has been the Hot Read Podcast. Enjoy the 4th of July. We'll be back next Tuesday.